Hi guys, I'm back again with some more stories for you today. Let's go to the first one, about OP's sister-in-law, who demands OP and his wife covers niece's medical expenses. Listen to the story to find out why, and of course to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, guys, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. My wife and I are being called selfish by certain family members because we refuse to cover the cost of our niece's $7,000 surgery. Here's the situation. Our niece was recently diagnosed with cataract, and the doctor suggested surgery that could help. However, my sister-in-law, Katie, can't afford the surgery due to her financial struggles. Katie is also a narcissist who dragged herself into debt because she thought peaking in high school was all that mattered. Here's some necessary background. Besides Katie being a narcissist, she was also an aggressor who tormented my wife from the day of her birth till she left for college. I can't list all the horrible things she did because we would be here forever, but I can mention what her neglectful parents did. Ironically, my wife had vision problems as a child and needed glasses, but her parents refused to pay for them. Eventually, one of her aunts kindly bought her a pair, but Katie intentionally broke them. Her parents then called my wife lazy for needing glasses and refused to replace them. As a result, my wife had to get a part-time job to buy another pair. Fast forward to a recent family gathering where everything came to a head. Katie, fully aware of her daughter's condition and the benefit of the surgery, approached us for help. Unfortunately, she explained the situation that we heard vaguely about and asked us to pay, knowing we could easily afford it. But before I could speak, my wife just laughed and said no. When Katie asked why not, my wife brought up the glasses story I mentioned earlier. However, instead of showing remorse, Katie rebuked my wife for holding a grudge and resenting her daughter for a mistake that happened years ago. But my wife shrugged her shoulders, and I followed. So after minutes of hearing Katie argue, she finally expressed regret. She apologized, wishing she could go back and change things, but my wife didn't care, refused to accept her apology, and told her to duck off. Long story short, Katie went back to being the devil with tears, called us selfish for hoarding money that could help her daughter, and said my wife was neither a saint herself. She walked off after shouting about all the so-called horrible things my wife did when she got rich. Then we went home ourselves and received messages about how selfish we were. I understand that some comments may argue that I'm punishing or depriving a child due to their parents' actions, but that only implies if I'm present. If you're not a child parent or grandparent, then I don't think you should have any moral obligation. Am I the a-hole or not? We have never met our niece. OP has no obligation to be the family ATM. Also, this is not really about the niece. It's about Katie. I'll explain. Katie has a responsibility. She should have insurance for her child. This never should have been anyone else's problem. She either doesn't want to pay or doesn't want to go into debt for the operation. Sounds like Katie needs to pick up a job or a second job to pay for her daughter's medical expenses, just like everyone else who can't afford their own medical bills. Not ask for handouts from people they were a-holes to, just expecting them to be generous and forgiving. And now let's see if the community agrees with me. Litza5472 says, I'm expecting this to be a not popular opinion just for the fact that you are ignoring the suffering of a little girl, but not the a-hole. If it was a friend or coworker making the ask, it would be clear not the a-hole. You're not responsible for other people's children. The line here is blurred because it's family. But as your wife obviously has no emotional attachment to her sister or her niece, that puts them more in the category of unpleasant acquaintances. So I don't feel you are in the wrong here. IB5724 says, not the a-hole. Katie could have suggested borrowing the money or working out a payment plan. Katie and his parents could have tried to put up some money, even if it's under $1,000. But Katie feels entitled. At the end of the day, it's not Katie's money. Where's Katie's husband and his family in all this? Brandy2666 says, not the a-hole. She asked your wife, said no, and told her to duck off. Katie is learning her actions have severe consequences, and her sister owes her absolutely nothing. I, 43 male, am getting married to my partner, Lauren, 32 female, in less than a month. It is a destination wedding that has been in the pipeline for over 18 months now. I have my two daughters, 16 and 11, with my ex-wife Anna, 46 female, and Lauren has a daughter from her prior relationship, deceased ex due to a car accident while Lauren was pregnant, who is 5. Anna and I split 5 years ago when Anna realized she was bi and wanted to pursue a woman from her work. I will admit that I probably moved on with Lauren too fast, due to my devastation over my 21-year relationship ending and Lauren still being in grief from the loss of her husband, plus struggling with at the time, very sick newborn. However, for the most part, we have all been able to remain amicable, and we all went to Anna's marriage to her coworker Lynn about 6 months ago. Originally, the plan for my wedding with Lauren was for us all to travel to the destination together, so that my eldest could be a bridesmaid and our youngest two could be flower girls. However, Anna and Lynn have recently broken up, and Anna has asked us to postpone our wedding out of respect to her. When I tried to explain that this was impossible, as it would cost us a lot to do so, she flew off the handle and accused me of deliberately hurting her, cheating on her with Lauren. Not true, though there was only a couple months between our split and meeting Lauren. Leaving her for a younger woman, called Lauren a gold digger, and threatened to ruin our wedding. I hung up on her and sent her an email uninviting her from our wedding due to her threat. She now says she is revoking consent to our daughter's participation. I don't think this is fair on them, and I don't want them to feel left out, so I merely pointed out that the wedding is on my week and she doesn't get a say. Am I the a-hole if I ignore her wishes? Edited to add, there was an incident with a trip to New Zealand a bit over a year ago where Anna tried to stop the trip. She thought we were showing off our financial state. We were visiting Lauren's former in-laws so they could see her daughter, their granddaughter, for the first time since virus. And we ended up having to involve lawyers. So there is a precedent for me being able to take the girls overseas without Anna's permission, so long as it doesn't affect her time with him. It's crazy that she is accusing OP of cheating when her desire to cheat on OP was the reason she broke up a 21-year marriage. Sounds like the ex is doubting the decision she made about breaking up the family. Or, and probably most likely, she's just jealous that OP has found happiness. Using the daughters as pawns is very low. She thought the grass was greener somewhere else, threw everything away, and has now realized it is not. Well, maybe she will learn a lesson that the grass is not greener on the other side. It's greener where it's watered. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Alice in Weirdo Land says, not the yay-hole, but double-check your custody agreement, because if it says you need her permission to travel with your kids out of state, out of the country, depending on where your destination is, without her consent, you don't want to create a legal headache for yourself. Cremias Hug says, Anna has to get a damn grip. This has the potential to be a good blended family, and she's throwing it out over a decision she made that dissolved the previous family ties. I'm not sure of your arrangements with the divorce, child custody agreements, but I would definitely consult a lawyer if she can legally keep your daughters from your big day. If she can't legally, and you fold regardless, she'll play this card whenever she pleases until yours and hers youngest reaches 18 and beyond. Please, for your daughters, don't back down, and let them see you're fighting for their right to celebrate the most lovely moments in life, and not be left out because Anna chose to make it about her again. The Grim Reader says, not the a-hole. She screwed up her life. She left her husband and broke up her family for a woman who ended up leaving her. In her grief, she's probably feeling regret over what she did, and is therefore resentful that everything is going so well for you when it's all falling apart for her. You've moved on. She is your children's mother and nothing more now. You owe her nothing. She made that choice, and she has to suffer the consequences now. Using your kids as a threat is disgusting, and she should feel ashamed of herself. I have two kids, my oldest son and my daughter. They're 25 and 21. We have a family business that works on farm equipment, and it is a very good business. Most farmers, if something breaks, can usually fix it, but when they call us, they will pay a lot, so they don't have to buy another $500,000 tractor. Anyways, I've been telling my kids since they were young that if they want to take over the business, that they have to get a business degree and work a lot with me to learn everything. Basically, they have to put in the work. When they were both teenagers, I took them on jobs so they would understand the job. My son made it very clear he didn't want the job and went to college for sociology. My daughter, on the other hand, threw herself into the business. She is about to graduate with a business and robotics majors. She also decided to stay at home during college, and she has been working with me in her free time. The only issue with my daughter is that she has trouble lifting things, but that is what strength training is for. So now is the problem. My son gave me a call and moved away for a job after graduation, and he told me he wants to take over the business. I told him no, and it's going to his sister. He started a huge argument and called me a jerk. He contacted some of my older relatives, and they are mad at me also. Editing. I'm not splitting the business. It causes way too many problems. I think it would be really unfair on OP's daughter for OP to go back on his agreement that he set out to her. It would invalidate her decisions that she made for this. OP made his requirements clear. He didn't meet them, and therefore he isn't going to get the business. It sounds like he tried to make it on his own and found out how hard it is, and now he just wants to be given something he didn't work for. Nuto FL2 says, "Not the a-hole. You can pay people to lift things for you. Her business and robotics training is important." Diminishing Patience says, "Not the a-hole. Let him stamp his feet. He's shown no interest in the business apart from wanting it as a gift." Queenie B says, "Not the a-hole. Your son walked away from the responsibilities of what your company needs to continue to exist, while your daughter dedicated herself to the company's continued success. Not only should he not take over the company, but he shouldn't be involved in it in any way. He has nothing he could contribute to it and would only use its assets. I've worked for too many companies that the parents made successful, only for entitled descendants to suck away the profits without doing any work." I, 27 male, live abroad and came back to my mother's to spend Christmas there with my family. I usually come back home 2 to 3 times a year. Upon landing on December 23rd at night, my mother announced to me that she actually planned on leaving the day after Christmas to spend New Year's celebrations with her friends, leaving on December 26th and coming back on January 2nd to take me to the airport the next day. I was obviously deeply upset because she hid this piece of information from me, and it meant that I was going to spend my whole vacation there alone by myself. We argued in the car on the way home, and she mentioned that I was not so clear with my plans during my stay here, that I was going to leave on December 31st anyways to spend the New Year's with my cousins, so it made sense for her to make other plans as well. I felt that she tried to gaslight me to serve her purposes. She had no intentions to let me know of what will happen, tried to hide as many things as possible, and I felt deeply hurt. Following Christmas, the whole family pointed this out at another outing when she was not there, and I felt deeply embarrassed because I let this one go. I tried not to think about it, and wanted to spend nice holidays with my family. I felt that my mom manipulated me and got her way. Upon leaving in the morning, she cut the heating, and when I came back home, the place was super cold, and I was there by myself. I felt overwhelmed, cried, and called my sister. She offered to come pick me up in order for me not to be alone. I changed my flights and never came back home afterwards. My mother was very unapologetic about it and felt no remorse about anything immediately. After several weeks, she tried to call me several times, texted me, but she never wanted to admit her mistakes, lying to me, gaslighting me, not caring about me. And the furthest thing that she came from an apology was saying that she should not have left and that Christmas is meant to be spent with family. I'm deeply hurt and do not trust her anymore. The whole thing escalated to the point where my grandma had to call me to let me know that my mom feels deeply hurt, that I should forgive her and let it go because she is so sad about the whole situation. Needless to say that I'm devastated that my mom does not want to admit any of her mistakes, prefers to preserve her ego and her pride in order to save face. My whole family is on the fence about it. Everyone agrees with me, but since my mom is deeply sad about it and that it truly impacted her, I should forgive her. Am I the a-hole for not forgiving my mother? Bees in the Trap says, "Not the a-hole. You came home specifically to be with family, told them you'd be there December 23rd through the 31st, and mom intentionally hid plans to be gone for 5 days from you. Yes, technically she's an adult and can spend her Christmas how she likes, and the fact that she wanted to do other things isn't the issue. The issue is not telling you. It's an a-hole move to know your child is returning to the country on one of their 2 to 3 annual visits, specifically to spend time with family, and then turn around and make plans to leave them alone for 5 of the handful of days that you will see them for the year, with zero notice, knowing they are under the impression that you will be spending most of that period together, with family." Fit Introduction 4615 says, "Not the a-hole. The fact that your mom kept the info that she was going to leave you alone at her house for most of your stay just shows that she knew it was wrong. But she still wanted you to come to spend Christmas with her, and your whole family knows that she messed up big time. Don't know what it is about people calling you an a-hole, 'cause you're not. Your mom is." TwigZ8771 says, "Not the a-hole. She's narcissistic, and I wouldn't forgive her until she sincerely admitted her mistakes and apologized." I'll try to make as much sense as I can while trying to keep it short. My brother-in-law's wife keeps trying to add, follow me on social media, bond and make small talk, and stay close at family events, but I don't want to put the energy into something proven to be fake. We'll call her Jay. When my ex-husband and I were still together, I noticed Jay would kind of latch onto him at family gatherings. At first, I figured this was just because he's the social butterfly of the family. He makes people feel welcome and is really funny. Then I started noticing small things. She'd avoid talking to other family members and just talk to him, almost rush to sit next to him at family meals. She'd touch his arm and back when talking to him. She would call him all the time and sound annoyed when he'd include me in the conversation, often ending it. The last Christmas we had while together, I noticed Jay walk past everyone and straight to him. She sat down and put her hand on his forearm to have a conversation, and I swear it was the come duck me eyes. By then I was biased and annoyed though. Throughout this entire time, she treated my mother-in-law like complete crap, laughed when her oldest bit my youngest, got mad because we told her oldest no, since they didn't practice that, tried to convince my then husband it would be better for him to live out of town and stay with them and just visit the kids back here because his work was closer to them. Fast forward. When my ex-husband and I split, all members of his family supported both of us. I barely lost any family from his side. In fact, they told him they were keeping me. Except for this sister-in-law. She didn't even speak to me or reach out in any matter. Instead, she tried to convince him to move there permanently. No regard for his kids. Called him non-stop when we'd do pickup drop-off with the kids, acting like she was worried for him or nervous about me. Tried to convince him to live with them. When he said no, she tried to hook him up with her best friends and her sister, so he'd be in the area more. Ignored me and was almost glued to him at the first family dinner we went to separated. When I asked my ex about it, he hadn't noticed and said she was just trying to be there for him, even if she was being weird about it. I was the bad guy for calling some things to attention in the beginning, but now other family members are seeing it too. I'll elaborate in the comments later. Anyways, after she realized my ex and I are close again and I'm around a lot, she has requested to be friends on Facebook and tried to follow my IG accounts. She tries to make small talk with me every chance she can make, but because why? It feels like she's just trying to stay in my ex's good graces, offering fake friendship again. So I've ignored her requests, removed her from my followers, and made sure with small talk that I knew it was all BS. Am I the a-hole? What mate says? Not the a-hole. She wants more than one piece of that family, apparently. But poor brother-in-law and poor you. You are just trying to protect your peace. Keep being polite and doing what you are doing. I get the feeling that one day you will finally snap, and she will enact victim mode until no end. Good luck, and you aren't crazy. Listen to Learn says, not the a-hole. It's funny how people react, ignoring the little inconsistencies that you noticed. You don't need to let people you don't trust have access to your life, on or off social media. Traveler691 says, it is possible she is just a pick-me type and hung on your ex because, being the more outgoing, she was more likely to get a family ally from him. She does seem to be manipulative though. It's fine to just block her. If she makes a fuss or asks why, you can honestly tell her you don't appreciate the time she attempted to interfere in your marriage, like trying to get him to move. Not the a-hole.